Welcome to Coin Explorer. Take a quiet moment and imagine holding a 1974 United States half dollar between your fingers. It feels solid, ordinary, and easy to ignore, like something you've seen countless times without ever really noticing. But today is different. Today, we slow down and truly observe it, because sometimes the most familiar objects hide the most unexpected depth. This coin, simple at first glance, carries more than just its face value. It carries time, history, and a journey shaped by countless hands. And once you begin to look closer, it stops being ordinary and starts becoming something worth understanding. On the front of the coin, the profile of John F. Kennedy appears calm and composed, almost frozen in time. His presence on this coin turned it into more than just currency. It became a symbol, something people recognized instantly. Since its introduction, millions of these coins have been produced and circulated across the country. They moved through daily transactions, passed between strangers, and became part of everyday life. Yet, despite this wide presence, each coin carries a slightly different story. Small marks, tiny scratches, and subtle wear begin to shape its identity over time in ways most people never notice. Now imagine turning the coin over slowly. The reverse reveals the presidential seal, with an eagle spreading its wings wide across the surface. In one claw, it holds arrows, representing strength and readiness. In the other, it carries an olive branch, symbolizing peace and balance. Around it, stars form a quiet circle, reinforcing unity. At first, it looks like a simple design, but the more you observe it, the more intentional every detail begins to feel. The depth, the lines, and the texture all reflect careful craftsmanship that often goes unnoticed in everyday use. What makes a coin like this truly interesting is not just how it looks, but how it has aged over time. Coins that pass through many hands begin to lose their sharpness, the edges soften, and the details fade slowly with use. But some coins manage to remain in remarkable condition. They appear almost untouched, as if they were set aside and forgotten. These coins begin to stand out quietly, not because they are louder or brighter, but because they have preserved something others have lost. And that preservation can make people take a closer look. Then there are the subtle variations that exist within coins of the same year. These are small differences that most people would never recognize without careful observation. A slight shift in alignment, a tiny imperfection during the minting process, or a detail that appears just a little different. To most, these differences seem insignificant, but for those who study coins closely, they can change everything. These small details can turn a common coin into something more intriguing. It is not about what is obvious, but about what reveals itself only after patience and attention. The 1974 half dollar exists in large numbers, yet no two coins have experienced the exact same journey. Some have traveled through countless transactions, while others remained stored away, rarely touched. Over time, these different paths create different conditions. A coin that avoided heavy circulation might retain its original detail, while another might show clear signs of wear. These differences do not make one coin better than another in a simple way. Instead, they add layers of character, turning each piece into a unique reflection of its history and the environment it passed through. Collectors often approach coins like this with a different perspective. They don't just see a piece of currency, they see something to study, something to understand. They examine every detail carefully, comparing surfaces, edges, and designs. This process takes time and patience. Most of the time, what they find is ordinary, but occasionally, something stands out. A small detail catches their attention, and that moment of discovery changes everything. It is this possibility that keeps collectors searching, always curious about what might be hidden within something so familiar. That sense of possibility is what makes this coin more than just metal. It creates a feeling of curiosity, a reason to look closer instead of looking away. When you hold a coin like this and truly observe it, you begin to realize how much you may have overlooked before. The surface is not just worn metal, it's a record of time, of movement, and of countless interactions. Each mark has a story behind it, even if that story is unknown, and that mystery is what makes the experience so engaging. There have been moments in the world of coin collecting where certain pieces have drawn significant attention due to unique characteristics. These are rare situations and often involve very specific details that set a coin apart. It might be a condition that is unusually well preserved or a variation that is not commonly seen. These factors can create discussions among collectors and experts. While most coins remain part of everyday circulation, a small number begin to stand out for reasons that are not always immediately obvious. In some rare discussions within the collecting world, figures as high as $59 million have been mentioned when talking about exceptional coins under very specific conditions. These are not typical situations and do not apply to the majority of coins. They involve rare combinations of factors that make certain pieces uniquely significant. However, hearing about such possibilities changes perspective. It encourages people to look closer at what they have, to consider details they might have ignored, and to understand that value is not always straightforward. With that perspective, the 1974 half dollar begins to feel different. It is no longer just a coin you might overlook. It becomes something worth examining, something worth understanding. You start to notice details you may have missed before. The texture, the edges, the small marks all begin to stand out. This shift in attention transforms the experience completely. What once seemed ordinary now feels layered and interesting, simply because you chose to look at it more carefully. This is what makes the world of coins so fascinating. It's not just about finding something rare or valuable. It's about learning to see differently. It's about slowing down and paying attention to details that most people ignore. When you begin to do that, even the simplest objects can become interesting. A coin becomes more than currency. It becomes a subject of curiosity, a small piece of history that you can hold in your hand and explore in your own way. Every coin carries a journey that cannot be fully traced. From the moment it is created, it begins to move through the world. It passes through different hands, different places, and different moments in time. Each step adds something to its story. Even if that story is invisible, it exists within the coin itself. The marks, the wear, and the condition all reflect that journey, and understanding that journey is part of what makes observing coins so engaging. So the next time you come across a half dollar, take a moment before putting it away. Hold it in your hand and look at it closely. Notice the details, the design, and the condition. Let yourself become curious about what you are seeing, because whether the coin turns out to be ordinary or something more, the act of observing it changes your perspective. It reminds you that even the smallest things can hold layers of meaning if you choose to look closely enough. And that's the quiet story behind the 1974 United States half dollar. It's not just about its design or its history. It's about the idea that something simple can hold unexpected depth. It's about curiosity, observation, and the willingness to see beyond the surface. When you take the time to explore even the smallest details, you begin to understand that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it reveals itself slowly to those who are patient enough.